Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Manufacturing Alliance podcast. As always, I'm your host, Tony Demakis, and we got a good show today. I hope it's going to be a good show. That's my hope. I mean, that's always my hope. This episode of the Manufacturing Alliance podcast is powered by Alliance Specialties and Laser Sales, where we are mold makers that don't build molds. We do all the other stuff that mold makers need. So what does that mean? It means we do the polishing, the laser welding, laser engraving, hot runner repair, preventative mold maintenance, um, all of those things under one roof. So if you have an issue with your tool, you can send it out to us and make sure that it doesn't get lost somewhere. It eliminates a little bit of delays from going from place to place to place to place, and we can handle all of it from start to finish. On top of that, we also have a full line of laser welding and laser engraving equipment made here in the United States. That may not seem like a huge thing until it is, right? Until you need service, until you need parts, until you need other things, and you can't get them because there are delays with shipments or tariffs or whatever it is. We don't have that problem. So if you have any issues or you're looking to add some laser welding or engraving to your process, please let us know. We also have, I forgot this one, a line of production welding. So it could be one part, could be 10 parts, could be a million parts. If you need help getting something produced, let us know. We can jump into that as well. We also, this introduction is getting longer and longer. We also have a facility in Montclair, California, where we do production welding and production engraving, and welding and engraving for tool repair as well. So that's it in a nutshell about who we are as a company. So why are you listening to this show? You have nothing better to do, maybe, and that's fine. But we are a show that talks about the U.S. manufacturing market and what that looks like. So successes, failures, stresses, why people get involved in this industry, what this looks like, and how we can learn and grow together. So we want your opinions. We want your thoughts. We want you to be part of the conversation. So that's why we decided early on to do a live show so that you can be listening in and figure out what's going on. And when we're having conversations, you can jump in and basically raise your hand, put something in the chat that says, I disagree, or I love that, and share your thoughts, ideas, and opinions. And we can have a live one-on-one conversation. Not one-on-one. That would be sad. Hopefully it's more than one. 2, 3, maybe would be great. But either way, it gives us a chance to interact and have feedback together. We've got a couple things coming up. The first one is PT Expo. So PT Expo is coming up the end of March. It's during our spring break. So what does that mean? I guess it means that there's going to be a chance for younger people to be there and see what the industry brings, which would be a great thing for all of us. But PT Expo is going to be in Rosemont at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center. That's always a hard one for me to do. March 28th through the 30th. March 28th through the 30th. We have a booth there. We're going to have some awesome equipment there to showcase. All of our laser welding equipment will be there. Not all of it. We will have laser welding equipment there. We are also going to be doing live shows. We're going to be doing live podcasts. We're going to play some games. There's going to be prizes that you can win. It'll be pretty awesome. On top of that, the SPE Mold Technologies Division will be announcing the Mold Builder of the Year, Mold Designer of the Year, and also the Mold Repair Specialist of the Year. So those are all things that are going to be going on at PT Expo on top of different conversations, different tech talk kind of things, suppliers from all across the country, a lot of Chicago people. It will be a great, great event. And to kick that off, we're doing something pretty exciting for me. We did it at MD&M West. We're doing it at PT Expo. We're going to continue to do it wherever we go. And that is the E210 initiative, which is basically our way of giving back to the communities that we go to and that we visit and that we have trade shows and conferences in, right? And so the good news is we have Gardner Business Media, who's putting on the PT Expo, on board with this, and they are going to help us to make it really, really special. So on March 26th, 27th, I can't see them. 27th, March 27th. I should know this by now. On March 27th, we are going to be going to Feed My Starving Children. It's an evening event, so it will not get in the way of setting up your trade show booth and things like that. But we are going to be going to Feed My Starving Children. We are going to work as a community to make a difference in other people's lives. And if you've never been to a Feed My Starving Children event, it's pretty awesome. It's a lot of fun. They give you a goal that you want to hit, and then we package food. Whether that's rice and beans or whatever that looks like, you package food, you get it ready, and then it goes off to people that need meals. And so this is something really, really exciting for us to do. And if you would like to be part of this event, you can go and register at alliancelasersales.com/E210PT Expo. We do need people to sign up. It has no cost associated with it, but we need people to sign up so that we know how many we have to bring so we can let the organization know. So if you're ready to do something, right, you're ready to make a difference, you want to make an impact, you're going to be at PT Expo anyways, we're just saying come a day early. You have to set up anyways. So let's set up. Then we'll go out, we'll make a difference. Then fun. We can go out and have drinks and dinner and talk and share and do all of those things. So we're really looking forward to it. We have people, we've got way more people than signed up for MDNM West. So that's a plus. Our goal is to have 50 people sign up. We have plenty of spots open still, but there's also plenty of time to schedule that. So please, 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 if you have any thought or any consideration on that at all, let us know. You can put it in the chat if you see this. You can send us an email. You can send Vanessa an email, vanessaf@alliancelasersales.com. You can send me an email. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can do all of those things. Anything else? No. All right, good. So I'm really excited because it's not all the time that we get like real experts that have like speaking experience and like to tell their story. But today we do. So we have Kerrie Jordan on from Epicor. And she's going to talk to us about all kinds of things. And one of those is how we need to basically listen to the voice of manufacturing and what people are saying, what employees are saying, what they're looking for in companies, and what that looks like. So I'm going to bring Kerrie on, and she can tell me if I explained that properly or not. Kerrie, how are
great.
you?
Yes, hello. Great to be here. No, that all sounded very good. We do need to listen to the voice of the manufacturing worker.
We do because, and we can get into all this, but just like a teaser, right?
Yeah.
Um, Raise your hand if you're having a hard time finding people to come work for you. Yeah.
Right?
So
Yeah.
if you're listening at home, go ahead, raise your hand. You're by yourself. It doesn't matter. It's great. You can do it. And the only way to do that is to know what people are actually looking for and then respond in a way that makes sense, right? Not just take their information and do nothing with it.
Absolutely. That is exactly right.
So before we get too far, who is Kerrie Jordan?
Yeah, happy to introduce myself. So, really excited to be here. I am Vice President of Product Management at Epicor. Epicor is a provider of industry technology. We are essential partners of some of the world's most essential and hardworking businesses. And of course, that includes manufacturing. It also includes distribution, automotive, retail, and building supply. And so many of these companies are very closely aligned, right? So they're working either together, or some organizations have manufacturing arms who are also distributors and building suppliers, right? So these are, again, some of our world's most hardworking businesses. My team of product managers, we're really focused in on understanding our customers. What kind of business challenges are they experiencing? What are their workers saying? How are they leveraging new technologies? What kind of new technologies can we help to provide them in order to help them grow their business, create more personalized experiences for their customers, cut costs, become more sustainable in their business operations. And we work across industry lines when it really comes down to, in my team specifically, how can we bring to life the data that's otherwise locked in back office systems? So Epicor has a variety of ERP technologies, financials, operations, but then we have this great portfolio that I'm so very lucky to, work within, and that is CPQ, so configure, price, quote, e-commerce tools, how to bring to life that inventory data so you can actually have online revenue transactions with customers, business intelligence solutions, ways in which to enable integrations throughout your technology platform. And again, we're just listening really closely to customers and translating those into technology solutions to solve for today's toughest problems and those coming into the future.
So all kinds of good stuff.
All kinds.
And your resume that you sent us is quite impressive. It's long. Vanessa was like, "Man, this is way longer than 250 words." But I guess when you have a lot that you're good at, you want to share that, right?
I do want to share. There's a lot of great stuff. And I said, my team is amazing. Like, we've been working on a lot of really great stuff. There's AI, that can be incorporated into manufacturing technologies. There's just a lot of really interesting things happening on the horizon here.
AI is the one thing that's freaking me out a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're all kind of feeling that way, especially
Yeah,
as we're digging into it. What could happen?
yeah. I mean, it's never gone well in movies ever. AI is never. It's
It
always
is
the
always
villain.
kind of the bad guy.
It's always
Yeah.
the villain. Just like we should never try to make Jurassic Park. It doesn't end well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. You know what? We should be part of the change, that you wanna see in the world. AI should be the good guy.
I
Maybe that's something we could do.
Maybe we're the bad guy and AI is the good guy. I don't know.
Oh, no. Actually, so we're gonna talk about this survey. It was pretty interesting. 2/3 of manufacturing workers said that they, were worried that their job would be replaced by automation. So, it's definitely a real concern out there.
So, I mean, let's jump into that, right? You have a
Yeah.
survey, and on the survey, you have what is it? One, two, three, four, five, six or so questions that we'll dive into a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, how did you get this information? Like, where did the information come from on the survey? Who were you
Yeah.
guys surveying?
Yeah, so we surveyed over 600 manufacturing frontline workers. And I think it's
Okay.
pretty unique, right? Because oftentimes these kinds of surveys go to the president or, others in the C-suite. But we really wanted to speak to the workers. We wanted to hear directly from them as to what kind of challenges they were facing, the morale, what they look for in their employer, and, what's really happening on the shop floor that we could help address, help solve for, that we could maybe help leaders have a more honest conversation with themselves and their team, because sometimes these things could be difficult to surface, right? If you're going directly to your own employees,
Yep.
so we wanted to really get to the heart of the matter. What are manufacturing workers really thinking in terms of their challenges that they're having on a day to day basis, what it is that they're looking for in their next employer, if they're intending to stay with their current employer, their attitude toward technology. So yeah, there are a lot of questions that we wanted to get to the bottom of.
So how did you guys select the companies that you were going to work for and the employees that were going to take this survey?
Yeah, we reached out to some folks out there around in manufacturing workers. We work really closely with a couple of agencies and alliances, that work directly with manufacturing companies. So we reached out, to see who would be interested in responding.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that, when you mentioned that a lot of times this would go to ownership or leadership or C-suite. But I think, just from my experience, that sometimes the people in those positions may not have they think they have good grasp on the climate of the company and what's going on
Right.
and what people are looking for, and what motivates them. But that's a very blanketed statement, right? Um, and sometimes there's a disconnect between with what you think people are looking for and interested in and what they actually are. Did you guys find that kind of disturbance there?
Yeah, I would. Yes. I think there were a couple things that were, a bit surprising when it comes to the key findings. So one of them was, so if we're talking about the difference between, those in the leadership positions and those on the shop floor was, get this, 60% that said that they would be willing to take a pay cut to work for an organization that was more tech savvy, that had more technology available to them, on the front line. And I think that that's pretty interesting because first of all, that really speaks to a growing appetite out there among workers and everyday people in leveraging more and more technology that they might be familiar with in their personal lives and then taking it to their work. But I also think that there's maybe a misperception among people who are at the leadership level investing in these kinds of technologies, being worried that they'll be disruptive to the day to day, when really people want to leverage technologies. They want to use them because they're familiar with them. They see them as, helping to alleviate some of the challenges that they have. They feel like they're being invested in. They get more access to information. I think there's just a variety of ways in which, workers want to leverage technology that maybe those in leadership positions didn't quite anticipate.
Yeah, I can see that. When you talk about a more tech-driven factory, what does that look like?
Yeah. So this is pretty interesting. So we asked, what kind of technologies is your organization investing in? I'll share some of the numbers here. So not really the numbers, but the actual technologies themselves,
Yeah,
right?
please.
So the first one was big data. So gathering, normalizing, governing, and even in some cases applying data in order to make business decisions. A second one was robotics and AI. So we're
Mhm.
talking about AI, right? But robotics is interesting because we're seeing that being leveraged in order to improve and automate the manufacturing process, and oftentimes use cases around automating maybe dangerous or repetitive work that
Yep.
will in order to improve employee health and safety and well-being. A third area is augmented reality. And I thought that this was interesting to see this one on the rise, but using AR type of technologies to visualize the manufacturing process, to help create that digital twin in order to track data, to improve quality assurance. And then the fourth area that they pointed out was 3D printing. And we see this, very often, right? In order to improve prototyping, maybe to expedite that process
Yep.
and accelerate the overall manufacturing itself.
Yep. And of those, I think the augmented reality is a very cool technology. My brother-in-law works for a design company out in Rockford, and this is one of their bread and butter things. This is
Yeah.
what they're really really known for in the marketing spectrum, I guess. And we've tried to figure out how we can implement that better and what that might look like. And it seems like there's always some kind of hurdle to it, right? As with any technology. But I don't know that if I surveyed our company, and maybe they wouldn't be honest with me. Maybe I need you to come in here and ask the question. I don't know if I surveyed them and I said, "Hey guys, I got this great idea. We are going to bring in more robust 3D printing, augmented reality, and some robotics. Only if you guys are okay with taking a pay cut." I don't think
Isn't that
that
interesting? I
I
know.
don't
I'm
I
with you.
really don't think that I would have a huge buy-in.
Yeah, I get it. Yep. No, I understand that entirely. Um, I thought that was interesting too, right? And what that says to me is they're sending a message, that they don't want to have to work with outdated technologies because,
Sure.
okay, so there are a couple other things at play here. So I'll give you some more context to the
Please.
survey. Yeah, so we asked, what is your greatest challenge?
Hmm,
And what they picked was the increasing cost of raw materials. So that's interesting, right? Because I think that that's generally perceived to be a C-suite kind of issue,
okay.
that is something that needs to be solved at the business level. But when you think about it, the implications on the everyday, uh, you know, those on the shop floor, they have to deal with this, and that manifests in a couple different ways. I would say first it's having to deal with shortages. So if there's higher cost, they don't have as much of this material that they would need. Perhaps they have to use different materials. Maybe it's lower cost and therefore lower quality, and then they have to pay, more closer attention to solving for those quality issues. And then if there is this rising cost that they have to pay for the materials, that could likely mean budget cuts somewhere else.
Sure.
And that could potentially mean increasing workloads, right? So there's just so many different ways in which we're seeing the rising cost of materials play out on the shop floor. And that increasing workload is a real challenge for workers, and I think that's something that the leaders really do need to try to solve for. And technology is a great way, in order to increase flexibility, to reduce overall workload, to improve visibility into the process so you can better balance. So again, a couple, implications for how you can incorporate this kind of information.
Yeah, no, I think that helps a lot. Mike Magliano is with us. He said he's really looking forward to this episode. So, Mike, thanks for joining us. I miss you. I love you. Haven't seen you in long enough, but we'll get together soon. Question for you. With the people you surveyed, what was and do you know the age demographic of those people that are looking for more technology?
Yeah, so we didn't ask for age directly, but what we asked was time in the job and
Okay.
overall career tenure. 15% were over 15 years. So
Okay.
everybody else was less than 15 years. So that would, imply a younger workforce.
Yep. Yeah, because I was looking through the data and you're asking again, right? Like how many people say that their documents are digital, right? Like what does that look
Right.
like?
Right.
Um,
Right.
and I think that is a newer workforce thing where people feel much more comfortable on devices, whether that's a tablet
Mhm.
or their computers or their phone or whatever that looks like to log in data. Um,
Mhm.
it's one of those things where I think we've talked about it here a bunch of times, but it's like, man, sometimes you can't get people to fill out a piece of paper. How are you going to get them to log in and go through a digital process to track all that? Have you found that it's easier to get people to do it digitally versus paper?
I think it depends. Definitely depends on the type of workforce. But one of the ways to get around it not being easy, or if you're facing resistance,
Hmm.
is around this is where machine learning or AI technologies can assist. We're seeing automation in the process of bringing in invoices and having that automatically scanned, and then a confidence level, applied to it. So if the machine learning algorithm says, I'm only about 60%, confidence, then that's when a person would get involved here. But if it's like 99%, you're comfortable with it, you can send it through. I do think that AI technologies are starting to participate in that process, for those kinds of organizations that might be concerned about, getting people involved in the digital technologies around content.
Yeah, it seems overwhelming to some extent to say all of these processes that we've been going through in a paper world, right, to make them all digital. It seems like a very
Yeah,
daunting task. And everything from for us, if we have people that have to fill out timesheets, right, for jobs that they're working on,
yeah.
what does that look like? Does that mean that we have to invest in an iPad or a laptop or whatever that is for every person at their bench, so that they don't have to get up and go to a universal spot? What does that look like, right? How does that data? You were just talking about data. How does that data get then from there into QuickBooks or whatever technology or whatever software we're using? Um, it's I love the concepts, but sometimes you can go down this like what if, how do we ever get there kind of a scenario.
Yeah, yeah, and I would say, I've seen it work well if you start small.
Okay.
Some companies do go big bang, all out, phase it in, is what I would recommend though, because otherwise it can be pretty overwhelming and you don't want your team to get data overload or, yeah, deal with that kind of overwhelming scenario where there's lots of different new technologies. They have to train for it. Perhaps there be, higher costs involved in terms, just like you said, and investing in iPads and things. So I would say start small, really focus in on that business pain that you're having, and start there.
So of the survey that you guys did, what was the one question that was most like, wow, I did not see that?
Yeah, okay, so for me, it was so we talked about 60% saying that they would take a
Yeah.
10% pay rate. The second one was, uh, 60% even said that they 61%, actually 61% said they'd take a 10% pay cut to go work for a company that was more sustainable,
Hmm.
that had a higher focus on sustainability. And I thought that was really interesting. I honestly didn't expect that. I do think that, it's tied to the younger, demographics. The second piece, so I was really thinking about this because I wanted to get to the bottom of it.
Sure.
Looked to other questions, and one of them seems related to me, and that was, what do you love the most about your job?
Yeah.
What is the most fulfilling? What do you find the most rewarding? And the first thing was, no surprise, building something lasting with my hands.
Yep.
Being a part of building something, and it's a tangible thing that I am building and I'm proud of it. The second one was participating or contributing to your company's mission.
Hmm.
And then the third one was your team, being a part of the team. Um, that second one, though, being a part of the company's mission, contributing to something bigger than yourself, making a difference, that ties very closely to me to sustainability. Sustainability is something that, a lot of families care about, individuals, communities, um, and customers. And I think that that is something that's, continues as I'm seeing to become a greater and greater focus within manufacturing.
And
That was probably the most surprising.
that people would be willing to take that. Did you say 10% pay
Yeah,
cut?
yeah, they said they'd be willing to take a 10% pay cut.
Now,
Yes.
is that like a 10% pay cut within their own company or if they were
Right.
planning to leave?
Mhm, mhm. So, we asked that too, if you were planning to leave, what would you look for in a new employee?
Yeah.
And, um, higher pay was one of them.
So they so they kinda go, against each other a little bit, right? Like,
Yes, but it's not just higher pay, right? So it's also more paid time off. So
okay.
greater work-life balance,
Yeah.
is really what people care about. In addition to that, they're also looking for a an employer who listens.
Hmm.
So, a management team that takes into account their team and empathizes with them and helps them to solve their everyday challenges. So a leadership team that listens and contributes and is a part of the team. That was something else that really stood out to me.
I think those are all really important, especially like now, right?
Yeah.
Um, so my question is, how do those things tie in together, right? When you have, I would take a pay cut for greater technology or sustainability, but I also want more money. And I also want more time off. And I also want these different things. How do you balance that? What does that look like from your side when you're reading
Yeah.
that data? How do you come to some sort of an answer that says this is where we should go, this is not where we should go because you have both you're saying both things there.
Yes, yes, I know. Well, first of all, I don't think anybody should take away money
Yeah,
from their employees
I
to
agree.
go pay something else. Yeah,
Hey,
let's
we're going to
not do
buy a
that.
robot. You're going to get a pay cut.
Yep, no, that will not go over well.
No.
Um, but I think what it all points to is empowering people.
Yep.
And this is done in a variety of ways. It's done through great technology. So, empowering them with the tools that they need to get their job done quickly, efficiently, in a rewarding and fulfilling manner. Empowering people with the data that they need. And that could be through technology as well. Tools like analytics types of technologies, making sure that they have secure and protected access to the data that they need. I think it's also done in ways, we found through the survey, non monetary perks. One of them was, just making sure that you are providing, the kinds of things that people the creature comforts, snacks in the break room, like these kinds of things matter and shows that you're being invested in. But something else that employees pointed to was upskilling. 80% said that their employer is investing in upskilling. And that takes form in a couple of ways. So it could be on the job training, it could be on site kind of apprenticeship, it could be online tools to get learning materials, training materials, um, and it can also be tuition reimbursement. And I think the upskilling piece is really important because that is another type of investing in your team and, showing them that you care about bringing them into the future of your organization, the future of this industry and manufacturing. And I think it's a really critical step before investing in AI automation, bringing on the robotics is making sure you're really focusing in on the team and that you have the right skill sets in place to make the most of these kinds of investments. Otherwise, I mean, those investments will fall flat.
Yeah, if you don't know that you have the team that could take on new skill sets and at least even want to, right? If you're trying to get everybody to embrace the idea and you say, "Hey, we're going to bring in a robot and everybody's going to learn it," you may have a good portion of people that go, "I'm just not interested.
Yeah, right.
I don't need to know how to use a robot." And like you said earlier, the robot's going to take my job. Great. That's all I need. I'm going to give you all my information. I'm going to tell you how I do my job so you can program this thing, and then I'm going to lose my job. And we talk about that all the time because we work on automation, robotic automation with laser welding and different things. And I think you said it perfectly earlier when you mentioned that the robot is for those tasks that are more dangerous, maybe more
Right.
menial tasks that is just super repetitive, that may not be good for your body, that you can take that person and train them to do something else that may be more fulfilling to their lives.
Yes.
And I think that's the part that people miss. They just think, oh, a robot is going to replace me. No, it's going to allow you to grow into a different area.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. Protecting, employee well-being, health and safety. That's a really big piece of investing in robotics.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so we covered upskilling. What's this next one? Sustainability. I think
Yeah.
sustainability is a big one. You mentioned the sustainability. Vanessa and I we've done a few of these shows now where sustainability comes up, and it's to me it's one of those, again, it's one of those tricky things where what does sustainability actually mean? What does that look like?
Mhm.
How as a business do you become more sustainable um, without making people use paper straws and on lunch, because nobody
Right.
wants those. So when people mention sustainability from your standpoint, when you did the survey, what are they actually looking for or talking about?
Yeah, we asked about it, pretty broadly. I think a great follow-up would be, yeah, how do you become a more sustainable company? What ways are you seeing in your business? But, from my experience and what I see in working with different organizations in terms of how they're becoming more sustainable, it's taking place in a lot of different ways. Perhaps choosing more sustainable suppliers that they work with, those that are certified with sustainability type measures. Reducing carbon emissions certainly. For distribution sides of the house, making sure that they're choosing the most sustainable routes, most efficient. It could take place of regulatory compliance. Um, when it comes to sourcing raw materials, ensuring that they're coming from sustainable sources. So yeah, I think now once we see that sustainability is such a growing force within manufacturing and not just at the C-suite, but really within workers, I think now is the time to really dig into and how do you want to contribute or be a part of this kind of mission within sustainability? Because we've got a lot of people who want to be a part of the change and make this happen. So I think that this is a really important takeaway for all of us.
And I think that's my point, right? Like, what do you want to do? What does that look like,
Mhm.
right? Everybody, of course, is going to say, yes, we should be part of a sustainability movement. But what does that mean? What does
Yeah.
that look like? It can't simply be we put in a green recycling bin next to the garbage can.
Right.
So what does that actually mean? If you had to say, okay, we can be a little bit more green, but in the summer we got to keep the air conditioning off until it hits this temperature. Are people still interested in that
Right. Right.
once they know what it means, or do they just like the word sustainability and, you know, environmental or whatever that looks like? Do they know what that actually looks like in their own lives, and are they still willing then to participate in that?
Yes. And I think it becomes easier once you're part of a bigger organization that can make a big impact.
Yeah.
It's hard. I think about this too in like my personal life. Yeah, like just how much of a difference is it making if I'm like recycling my cereal box?
Hmm.
It's hard. It's really hard for me as an individual to know. But once you see it in a much bigger capacity at an organizational level, yeah, then you're really making a difference. And if I'm working at a company that cares about that, I'm making even more of a difference. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of implication that we all need to dig into.
Yeah. I think the most troubling statistic that you have, and the one that was eye-opening to me the most, was 56% plan to leave their job in the next year.
Yeah.
As a company, as an employer, that's terrifying. Those are terrifying numbers.
Yes. Yeah, that was a high one, right? I was actually pretty surprised by that as well. And we then asked, what are you looking for
Yeah.
in the next one, right? And yeah, they're same kind of things, right? So they're looking for more paid time off. They're looking for more flexibility in their work schedules, and they're looking for a management team who listens to them. When it comes to like why they would worry about their current company or job, a lot of them pointed to high turnover as one of the major issues that they're dealing with.
Mm.
And, if we go back to, the greatest challenges, one of them was increasing workload. So as you can imagine, if you're a tenured employee, you know how to get stuff done.
Yep.
You're going to get the most workload, right? When these
Yep.
other people leave. So that is so frustrating. I can only imagine.
So a lot of
So,
these people that are of this 56, they're thinking about leaving. They're currently being overstressed because more work is being placed on them because the companies that they work for are cutting weight, or
right.
they think that they're being more efficient by doing these downsizings. They look at Susie and they go, Susie seems like she's on break a lot. She can take on more work. And, we really don't like Billy so much. So, we can take Billy's workload, give it to Susie, and then it'll be great. Right? Is that part of what is forcing people out of the jobs that they're in?
Poor Susie and Billy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that that's absolutely what I mean, that's what the data implies, that the people who are there really are getting overworked, and they're looking for tools. They're looking for more flexibility to help alleviate the
Hmm.
stress that they're under.
Hmm. And so, is that where you guys come in by helping to provide some of those tools to alleviate some of that stress?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, technology is certainly a way that could do that, right? Um, and I think there needs to be a plan in place rather than just investing in technology, for technology's sake. But I would get to the bottom. Like if I'm speaking, with a business leader who's worried about their workforce and the workloads that they're taking on, why is that happening?
Hmm.
And I would get a little bit more into the process itself. Why at what point of their day are they feeling overwhelmed? At what part of your process is breaking down that you could potentially invest in order to improve? And I think that once you kind of get into that, by the way, employees want you to ask. They want a management team that listens. Then I think you can get down to the bottom of it, um, and then have a more informed decision process around what you should be investing in.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I know I've given you a lot of challenges, just things that are in my brain, right? And I mean, I think that's the way that conversations work, right? You have data. I'm saying I don't see it here. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to wrap my brain around these things that you're saying. one of the things that you just said is like employers have to ask, right?
Yeah.
Those questions. I would also challenge that on the other side, the employees have to be honest and tell you what they need in order to make those changes happen.
Yes.
There's a number of times where we'll ask questions and say, "Hey, how's everything going? Is there anything you need?" And most times people say, "No, it's good, it's fine."
Right.
And then I go, "Okay, I'm doing my job. I asked. I don't know what
Yeah.
else to do there."
Yeah.
When in reality, maybe they get done and they go, "Man, I can't he read my mind?" It's like a husband and wife couple, right? I mean,
Right.
the wife really wants her husband to pick up the shoes or go to the store for her or whatever that looks like, right? And the husband, me, comes in and goes, "Hey, do you need help with anything?" And she says, "No, I'm fine."
It's
Okay.
fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, that's literally like Vanessa's phrase,
Literally, yeah.
right? Uh, "It's fine, I'm fine, everything's fine." And, at some point, you go, "Okay, cool. I asked. If you need something,
Mhm.
let me know. I'm here. But if you
Mhm.
don't, I can't really help because
Mhm.
whatever that looks like." And maybe it's a trust thing with the employers and employees, and maybe they've asked in the past and they have like beaten dog syndrome, and they don't think anything is going to change. I don't know what the answers are, but I find a lot of times that it's hard because that makes sense, right? And my friend
Yeah.
Clint Pulver talks about this too, and he says, Tony, you will never get a real answer from your team like I can get from your team because they're just not going to tell you.
Yeah. 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 We see that. Absolutely. Like you said, it does take trust and it
Yeah,
takes credibility and making sure that, yeah, you can have an honest conversation. And to the business leaders out there, it might not be you. You might need to find, a somebody that you trust to have these conversations with your team members, um, and find that person who's going to, yeah, speak up about the challenges that they're facing.
yeah,
But also these things I think play out in other ways. Your numbers, the workloads that are assigned to each member, look to the people who have left and, what were they working on? Why did they leave? There's all kinds of ways to do exit surveys, right, with
yeah.
HR. Usually when people are on their way out, that's probably when they're gonna be the most honest.
Yes, they have nothing to lose at that point.
Exactly. So,
But
yeah, I
even
think there are ways.
even Clint says on an exit interview, there's no reason for anybody
Of
to be
course.
really honest.
Right.
They just want to get out of there
Yeah.
most
Yep.
times.
There's
Um,
that. Yep.
you know, even with my kids, right? I tell my son, my daughter doesn't do it as much, but my son, I'll say, "What's wrong?" "Nothing, I'm fine." "What's wrong?" "Nothing, I'm fine." And I said, "Listen, buddy, I'm going to ask one more time and then I don't care. Then you can just be upset. You ready? Here we go. What's wrong?" And then we have a conversation. So I know I have
Does
to
that
ask.
work? The 3rd time?
Kind of, because
Okay.
I mean, really, I just don't care anymore. Like I've
Yeah.
tried, I've opened it up for discussion. If you don't want to tell me and you just want to be in a bad mood, then I guess you can just be in a bad mood for a little while.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Fair
Good for
enough.
you. And I
Mhm.
don't know what else to do at that point. Um, it's just true.
I've got young kids. Does ice cream work? Works for me.
To get them to tell you what's wrong.
Yeah. 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 Bribery is what we're
I
going for here.
Vanessa's shaking her head no. Her kids must need something else. Uh, but I don't like to call it bribery because bribery is a bad word. I call it like encouragement, right?
Okay.
It's
Yeah. I like that.
that's what you use when you train your kids. How old
Mhm.
are your kids?
Train your kids. 7 and 2. I actually have an older one too, and he does, yeah, he actually turns 15 today, and
Oh,
so
good for you.
yeah, 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 yeah. The ice cream doesn't work so much on him.
No, no, but
It's
pretty soon the car will.
Yes. I'm terrified of that.
I
But
gotta tell
yes.
you, it's great. My son is 16 years old, and it's great. He
Ah,
he is also a very, very responsible boy.
that's good.
For a long time, he didn't want to get his license because he realized how dangerous it was, and so
Yeah.
he didn't want to take it like a joke. But he's a good kid. Um, but we always used incentives, not briberies, incentives.
Incentives, that is the key word.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I like it.
incentives. When he was little, he's not listening. When he was little, he loved Thomas the Train, and so we got him a Thomas the Train. He had the whole track, but he wanted Thomas, and we bought Thomas, but we needed him to do something very specific, like go to the bathroom where you're supposed to go to the bathroom.
Of
And
course.
we took Thomas and we put it up on the top of the shelf so he could see it, but he couldn't have it until he did what he was supposed to do, and then he
Yes,
got Thomas, and it
yes.
was amazing. He was so happy with that. And I think incentives work for everybody, right? I mean,
Yes, bring it back around. Yes,
that's
incentives too. It's true. It's very true.
yeah. And I think that's part of talking to your team, right?
Mhm,
To
mhm.
to the point that we started with is that we have to listen to the voices of people that we work with and
It's really
that
important.
work
Mhm.
for us. And I think what's difficult about that is not everybody has the same voice or the same desire or the same incentive. Not every kid wants Thomas the Train. Some kid's
Yeah.
going to look at that and go, I don't want that. I'm just going to crap my pants forever. I have no interest. That kid, you got to say you want some ice cream.
Right, right.
And I think
That's true.
it's the same thing with the teams that we have here. Some people want more pay. Some people want uh, better technology. Some people want more days off. Some people
That's
just want
right.
to be left alone.
Yes,
They don't
yes.
want to fill out a stupid survey. That's
Yep, yep. That is 100% right. Yes.
just
And it's true. Yeah, there are all different types of opinions out there, and, it really does I think it behooves the leaders to really have those honest conversations.
yeah, all the time. I think
Mhm,
that's the key is one of those all the time kinds of things. When we do our reviews, we've got forms that we encourage people to fill out, and some
mhm,
people love it. They write all the stuff, and
mhm,
then some people
mhm.
are like, "Seriously, you wanted me to fill that out? Like I do my job. What else? I mean, what do you want from me?" Like,
Yeah, I feel like it's the people who are either really very excited and they can't wait to share, or the people who are really very mad and they
yeah,
can't wait to share. But it's
yes,
kind of rarely in the middle. That's why you see all those reviews out there, right? They're either 5 stars or 1.
yeah. Um, so I want to ask you some of these questions because I love them. But oh, here you go. What is the main quality you think makes for a great parent?
Oh, wow. Main quality makes for a great parent. Patience.
Yeah,
Patience. Because, I mean, I feel like that is, like, so cliche and typical, but I don't think I could survive if I didn't have patience, for real. That is
yeah.
kinda critical.
And I like that question because I think it also applies to leadership as a whole, right? Like,
Yeah.
as a parent, you are the leader of your household. That's what you're doing.
Yes.
At work, you are the leader of people. And
Mhm.
I think patience falls into. I mean, I think that's a great answer. Patience falls into every area of everything that you're trying to do.
Truly.
Um, and sometimes I feel like if you become impatient, it says more about you than the other person because they're not getting it as fast as you want them to, right? Like,
Right.
come on, I got things to do. Let's do this. How are you not understanding me?
Exactly, exactly, and then you're just frustrating everybody around you more so
Yeah.
than is really necessary. So, yeah.
What is the main thing that influences your decisions?
You know what? Okay, so I've got a lot of, Post-it notes on my monitor here.
Okay.
One of them says, because I wanna be better about this, can you see this? Maybe not. "Get the data, rely on the data."
Okay. That's
Data.
good.
Yes, it has to be. It should really be data. Another one is this is fun. I didn't know I do show and tell, but here we go. "Be kind, not nice." I
Oh.
think that's really important because
Oh,
you might have to say something that's not very nice, but in the long run, it's the kind thing to do. Maybe somebody didn't do a really great job on a presentation or, and you have to give feedback that's, painful. It's the kind thing to do to make sure that they know that there's something that needs to be improved. So, yeah, be kind, not nice.
I really like that. I mean, that's like every once in a while, when we do these shows, we get some good nugget takeaways, and that's one of those, right? Because um, yeah, you're gonna have to have difficult conversations sometimes.
And yeah,
And
and it could be hard because you feel like you're gonna hurt their feelings,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, things are not all. Let's be honest, things don't always go the way that we hope they would, and people don't always get things done the way that we hope that they would. But there's no reason to do that with malice and be
Right,
awful about it. It's
right.
good. It's good. It's like, at church, we talk about it's not loving to keep letting people do bad things, right?
Yeah,
Like just allow it to continue because I don't want to hurt your feelings. I don't want to upset you. So I'll just let you keep doing that. And hopefully it'll all just work out in the end. Um,
not
that's not,
okay.
that's not a kind thing to do. Right.
Mm-mm.
So I really like that.
Mhm,
Do you ever find that people are like, they want all the data, right?
mhm.
They want to know all the stuff. They
Yeah,
collect it all, and then they just have data. They have no way to implement the data or make changes with the data, but they have like spreadsheets and files and notebooks and all this stuff, and they just don't know where to turn to take that data and actually make real decisions with it.
mhm.
So
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
how do we help those people?
Well, I think there are always going to be those people out there. Um, okay, so I'm thinking about, I work with, somebody who is like this, and this person's become a legend,
Mm,
and they love it. We all love it. Um, but at some point, that data does need to become part of a system, something that's accessible, something that's secured, because it's probably not great to have it all, on a single desktop. Um, and so just making sure that all of that information is protected with multi-factor authentication, variety of encryption technologies, which we do.
of
That's
course.
really important. Um, but yeah, I think that is this is the cybersecurity implications are probably one of your biggest, concerns. And once you get that into a secure place, ensuring that you're empowering everyone with access to the data that they need, with a role-based type of solution, I think it's very empowering to the workforce. Just as we were talking about investing in people, that's a way, making sure that they have the data that they need, but still you're protecting it. That
Yes.
I think is really important.
Yes. I know sometimes we go round and round like, "Oh, we need to figure out this. We need to know what we're doing here. We need to how," and you just keep getting all that data and we're like, "Okay, what do we do with this now? How do
Yeah.
we how do we make positive changes now that we have all the information? What does that look like?" And admittedly, a lot of times we fail in that regard because we just don't know the next step.
Mhm.
Uh, and
Mhm.
taking the data and going, "Okay, this is what we found out. This is how we're gonna make an impact with it. This is why it was useful for us to collect it."
Yeah, and I think so a way to kinda overcome overload is to focus in on maybe 3 to 5 questions that you wanna answer,
Okay.
or 3 to 5 metrics, key performance indicators that you're gonna focus on because those are your gold metrics, and then you can focus in on those 3 to 5. Over time, you could add more, but I think in order to avoid being overwhelmed by the information, really focusing in on, yeah, the top 3 to 5.
Do you have an example of what some of those questions might be?
Yeah, I think it could be like within your inventory management,
Mm,
what is my turnover? How am I tracking to demand? Those kinds of things. Like focus in on a specific functional area and then have your key metrics.
okay. I think offline, we're gonna have to talk about inventory management.
Yeah.
It's not that it's a major issue, but, when we're building laser welding and engraving equipment, right,
Yeah.
we started to develop, an inventory management system, to go along with our build of materials. Uh,
Mhm.
but, um, we don't know how to start that really, right? And so we have
Yeah.
ideas, we have thoughts, we have things in shelves that are labeled appropriately,
That's good.
but but I don't know that we have a full digital version of that yet.
Yeah.
And what that looks like, and a process of knowing exactly when we need to order more stuff or where we're at in the usage. Um,
There you go. Those are the questions.
yeah,
We could definitely talk more about this. But yeah, once you kinda chart out what it is you need to solve for, then you can, back into the technology solution that's best.
I mean, we don't have to do your whole sales call on a live podcast, but that would be interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all of those things. I can see areas where we need more ERP systems where we could utilize that stuff. But I also see areas where I go that would be just overkill for a lot of the staff that we have here, in the capacity that they're already feeling maybe
Sure.
burdened by certain things or learning new things or whatever that looks like. Um,
Mhm.
you know, we recently started using Paychecks Online. We can't even get everybody to sign up for Paychecks Online. That's like an easy one. Just go on your phone. There's an app. Just do it. Just like
Especially to get paid.
yeah. Well, see, they get paid either way, so it doesn't.
Okay, good.
There's that incentive piece, right? If I could just
Right.
whole
Yes.
pay, that
Yeah.
would be a
Well, we
solution.
talked about that. Don't do that.
Yeah. No, no, that's bad. That's
That's
bad.
not okay.
That would be de-incentivizing. That would not
Right.
be
Right.
incentivizing. Okay, we're coming up to what is that? 57 minutes. I can't see. Are there any other things that you want to talk about that we haven't had a chance to hit on yet?
That's a great question. We talked a lot about what I thought was the most important, around sustainability, the challenges around cost of raw materials, what makes a really great workplace around, more paid time off, more flexibility. Um, I thought another interesting stat was 48% said their company was very modern.
Hmm.
How
Now, is
about
that a
that?
good thing or a bad thing?
You know what? I think it's not that bad. 47% said somewhat modern, and 6% said not at all.
So what I'm asking is the word modern a good thing or a
Right,
bad thing?
right. Yeah. Ooh, that's a good question. I feel
Yeah.
like I am assuming it's good,
But what does modern actually
right?
mean? What does that look
Mhm.
like?
Mhm. Mhm. Good question. Well, that sounds like a great follow-up question.
Well, because like modern could be a number of things, right?
Sure.
For us, a lot of people like the family feel that we have.
Yeah.
The historic side of it, right?
Yeah.
So some people value that. They don't want to leave that family feel. So maybe if it's too modern, maybe they don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Yeah.
that looks like. Um,
Right.
so that's an interesting thing. Here, one of the things I thought of was of the 56% of people that said that they were planning to leave, um, if their current employer were willing to discuss more flexibility, were
Mhm.
willing to be more open to feedback or suggestions, are those people likely to stay or are they just burnt out?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. I bet they'd be more likely to stay. And I
Mm.
think another piece of it would be upskilling,
Hmm.
so it's because it's all about investing in your people. And I think it's absolutely worthwhile to go down that path with any employee that an employer might be concerned about losing. Yeah, offer
Do you
more
feel like
flexibility.
a lot of those conversations usually happen or could happen in reviews? How often would you recommend doing reviews to get some of this information?
Yeah. Well, I can share with you what I've seen. I would say definitely at least once a year, but regular check-ins,
Hmm.
quarterly, monthly. Um, I think you need to have a more ongoing dialogue with your workforce.
Yeah.
It can't be just once a year. Now we're checking in. It would need
Right.
to be more often.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. All right, we are wrapping up. We're towards the end here. We always end our show with prayer requests. Do you have any prayer requests? Or if you're listening, there are some people listening. If you have any prayer requests and you're listening to us, go ahead and put those in the chat, because that's important. Anything for
Yeah.
you?
Um, I mentioned it's my son's 15th birthday, and we might be getting closer to him driving. So
Yes. Yes. When does driver's ed start?
So I'm in Virginia. I'm based in Richmond, Virginia, and that starts their junior year.
Okay.
Junior year,
Yep.
yes, because they have to be 15 years old and 6 months in order to get the permit.
Okay. And so that is next year.
Yes, that would be next year.
I'm telling you,
Ah,
the freedom of having a child that can
no,
drive
I
is
know, but,
amazing.
just to, like, wrap my head around that, I would love that freedom,
Yeah.
but still,
It's great.
can't.
Like, Jack, can you take Grace to go get this thing?
Yeah,
Sure. Right. And
that would be nice.
as long as you own the car, they still kind of got to listen to you.
True, true. Ooh, I like that. Yep. Mhm. It's an incentive.
And it's an incentive. Incentives are key.
Yeah,
Oh, your car doesn't have any gas.
that's too bad.
Do you need like $10 for like a quarter tank of gas?
Mhm, mhm.
All right. Well, I'm going to say a quick prayer and then we can say goodbye. All right. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to talk with Kerrie. Thank you for her knowledge and her expertise and her caring about individuals and helping us to learn and grow on what it looks like to work with your team and listen to what the people in manufacturing are actually saying and needing and wanting and looking for. And we just pray that you would be with everybody that's listening, that you would prepare her for her son getting ready to drive, that you would allow her to know that you are in control and that you are with him in all those situations, and that you would help all of us to remember that as we go through whatever struggles they may be, or complications or stresses or situations, that we could always remember that you know what's going on, and you will use it. And your story is better than ours. And we just give it all to you. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Kerrie, thank you for reaching out to us and offering to be part of the show. I really enjoyed talking with you,
That was
and
my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so
yeah,
much.
I hope you enjoyed it a little bit, and I hope maybe we can find ways to work together in the future, because I think as we continue to grow and as you, the listener, continue to grow, you may need these services. So, how can people get a hold of you and learn more about Epicor?
Great. Yep. You can learn more about Epicor at epicor.com, epicor.com, and find me on LinkedIn, Kerrie Jordan.
It's that easy.
That
So,
easy.
all right, Kerrie, thank you for joining us and having a conversation with us and just sharing everything that you did. I think it was really, really beneficial for me and hopefully for the people listening. So
Thank
I will
you so
let
much.
you go. Thank you for all your time.
I really appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you, everyone.
That's Kerrie Jordan from Epicor. One of my new friends, LinkedIn friends. LinkedIn is so good. If you are not using LinkedIn more often, you should be. I mean, this is the power of LinkedIn. I would have never known that Kerrie was around, and then she reaches out to us, asks if she could be on the podcast, and then we get to have this amazing hour of conversation and give information to everybody else. It's great. I love it. So if you want to be part of the show, if you want to tell your story, if you have data that you think is important for manufacturers to have, please, please, please don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Share it with us. We want to hear from you. So send us a message. Put it on a DM on any of the podcasts that we've ever posted. We will do our best to see it and get back to you. Or the fastest way is just to email Vanessa. Vanessa F at alliancelasersales.com. And she will get you the questionnaire. She will ask you for a picture so that we can post it and we can do some promotion, and it'll be amazing. And we want to hear and tell your story. Um, that's about it, right? We want to encourage people to come out to PT Expo. We want to encourage people to sign up for E210. And we want to encourage people to make a difference in whatever that is in your life. So with the people that you work for, with the people you work with the people you live with, the people in your communities. For us, we do that through grit, right? Gratitude, relationships, integrity, and tenacity. How you do it, I don't know. That's up to you. But I would challenge you to find a way to make a difference for somebody else in your community, in your work, or even at your home. Do that this week. Do that this week, and then let's talk about it next week. All right? That's your challenge. On behalf of myself and Kerrie and Epicor and Alliance, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Take care and God bless.